What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video, and in this video we're going to be breaking down an episode 3 review, where we break down the entire episode, talk about what is good, what's bad about it, and give you some tips and tricks along the way. So make sure you watch to the end, smash the like and subscribe, and go to the GameLeap website down below for in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips and tricks. We got tons of content on the GameLeap website you got to go check out right now down below. But without further ado, let's just jump in the video. Now before we get started, really quickly, I gotta thank each and every one of y'all, because I did a streamer or best streamer for each agent like a couple of days ago, and some of the people that I put on that list that didn't really have hardly any viewers or any followers at all just blew up because of all y'all's support. So that definitely meant a lot to them, it meant a lot to me, and the GameLeap freaking community is so goddamn awesome, and you learned a lot in the process, so it was just awesome. I decided to talk about it real quick, but let's jump right into the first thing we need to talk about, which is ranked as a whole. Well, as you know, ranked is a little bit crazy right now. There is going to be more Smurfs than average right now. When there's a big reset like this, a lot of people don't want to play on their main account. They'll maybe place it, or they won't even touch it until the system kind of is way more fair, way more balanced, which typically takes anywhere from 2 weeks to multiple months. This means that in your average game, you're going to be running into more Smurfs, unfortunately, and it's honestly not going to feel perfectly balanced right now. That's why if you do plan to play within that first 2 weeks of a ranked system, you got to understand that this is going to be the case. You got to be okay with it anyways and just focus on improvement, because the rank is just going to be freaking nonsensical. So it's understandable if some of you have really been struggling with your rank right now. Just realize that things will get better with time, so I'm not going to be judging this too harshly in the episode 3 review. And all in all, I think that the ranked changes are going to be a good thing when the system is finally back to normal. Now, the next thing that we're going to review is a Gunplay review, and overall, Gunplay is way better than it was pre-patch. A lot of guns that just weren't viable at all pre-patch, like the Bulldog that was hardly being used, is now all of a sudden feeling really good, and just general gunplay overall is a lot nicer. It's a lot harder to run and gun, weapons like the Judge got nerfed, which just led to some uninteresting, unskillful gameplay, and the game just feels crisper and cleaner, and overall, I think that the gunplay in this patch is absolutely fantastic. Now, this is just through my experiences and the experiences of many of the people that I've talked to, but I really want to know your experiences. Do you like the gunplay in this patch? Are you struggling with it? I really want to know what you feel about it overall, as far as economy for guns is concerned, balance for guns is concerned, and just the changes to run and gunning and the penalties to walking, tagging, and much more. Now, before we move on, I think that all of the changes to gunplay has made Valorant a higher skill game, honestly. It has a higher skill floor and a higher skill ceiling, and I think that that's just good for the healthiness of the game in the long run. Let me know if you agree. Now, moving on to the third thing we gotta talk about is performance, and I think that this is where episode 3 gets hurt the most, because while they did do some things to performance, it is slightly better on some rigs, but not every rig is gonna feel it, and even the rigs that do, it's not a great change. Many people are still getting low FPS even on mid-tier computers, and some of the lower-end computers are just getting kind of atrocious FPS, if I'm being honest, especially for a game like Valorant, and it could definitely be a lot better. However, I have noticed, and many other people have noticed across different computers, that some of the crazier fights with more abilities don't hurt frames as much. So for that, I'm gonna say that's really good, but in general, I think that FPS could definitely be better across the board. So let me know down below what your performance issues have been as of this patch, and do you think that things are getting better over time, or are they getting worse? Let me know, and why. The next thing that we got to talk about is agent balance, and something that they really did amazing in this patch that a lot of people might not like, but if you take a step back and really analyze it, you're going to see that this is actually really good for the healthiness of a game, and it's a power creep nerf. Power creep is a problem that happens in just about every single game, where you had new agents, and in order to bring a lot of people into your game, you make that agent flashy and powerful, and that agent moves the meta needle. And in order to let all the other agents keep up, you buff each one of them, and then you're just buffing and buffing and buffing, and then all of a sudden, abilities are getting more and more and more powerful, and they're completely overlapping with gunplay. Even pro players were complaining that Astra was like already a step too far. They were talking about it with Killjoy before, and instead of like Riot kind of letting this problem become really big before it's obvious, obvious, like, hey, abilities are way too goddamn powerful, they took a step now and just kind of cut it right now to where abilities are not going to get any stronger than it was pre-patch. I think this really shows off a precedent with agent balance, ability power level, and gunplay, where they are putting the gunplay first, and they're gonna make sure that no matter what characters they add to the game, that abilities as a whole are not going to be at the forefront of power, and they're not going to be too powerful and have too much individual impact over the course of a game. And I really agree with that. Now, maybe some of your mains got nerfed here or there, but understand that it happened to almost every agent across the board. The majority of agents either got reworked or they got nerfed in some way, and I do think that this is going to be a healthy thing for the course of the game. That being said, there might be some outliers. Maybe the new character is too powerful. Maybe some of the characters that didn't get hit, like Viper, are too powerful. But overall, I think that it's a really good take on agent balance, and I think that this is a really great way to address power creep, not let the freaking pot like be overflowing before you do anything about it. Catch it early, and I think they did a great job. The next thing that we gotta talk about is economy. Weapon economy, ability economy, and of course the changes to economy. Now that they have increments of 50, I think that the combinations are far better. Like, there's a lot of better ways to balance economy in general. That being said, I don't know if the formula is perfect right now. It seems very weird and finicky with some agents where it's very hard to get that perfect kind of buy. A lot of agents, you had that set buy already, and it's just completely messed up by a lot of the changes, and I do think that eventually the balance will get better, but you got to remember that they just incorporated this change. They will actually just analyze and see how an agent is playing, and now they can do minor little changes that can vastly change how effective agents are in pistol round. If an agent is being too effective in pistol round, they can increase the price by 50, making it so now you can only buy one ability instead of two if you want armor, or if you want the ghost, or the combinations are a lot easier to predict. And by changing certain price points by very little, by only increments of 50, you can directly affect an agent's balance in that first pistol round, because having one ability just be a little bit more means all of a sudden it doesn't work perfectly with a certain setup, which could nerf the character on pistol round without hurting the agent's overall impact in the other rounds in the game. And I do think that this is an amazing change for the long haul, even if right now it feels like they haven't had enough data to like perfectly balance it yet. But let me know what you think about this. Are you happy that they're doing it in increments of 50? Or do you think it was unnecessary and it messed up all the buys for your agents? I want to know your opinion and why. Now, the last thing that we gotta talk about is, what are we missing? What big things are coming soon? What big things do we need? And does Valorant need any big thing? Like, is Valorant missing any big thing? I mean, we know that Yoru's incoming. Yoru's getting a giant rework. We don't really know what that's gonna be, but we know that the character is getting a rework, not just a balance change. So most of his abilities, or some of his abilities, are probably gonna be changing. Now, of course, there's other features that they could always be adding, whether that's a VOD reviewer, whether that's a map editor. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's always more features, but for what we got a lot this patch. And I think that Valorant is in a better state now than it has been in a long time. Now, you know, this rating is actually gonna be pretty controversial, but coming from me, who is typically pretty hard on Riot, you know that it's honest. I'm actually giving this patch a 9 out of 10. This episode gets a 9 out of 10. It's honestly pretty fucking good. Between the gunplay buffs, between the agent balance and direct attack on power creep, and the increase in the skill floor and skill ceiling by changing a lot of the ways gun works, the punishment between movement penalties and decreasing tagging and increasing dead zone, I think that this patch is absolutely amazing for the future of Valorant. It really sets up the game to be much more competitive, much more hardcore, and I like it all in all. But I want to know if you agree. Do you agree with my decision? Do you think it's a 9 out of 10? Or do you think that this episode's absolutely shit? I want to know your opinion and why down below. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high quality in-depth guides, VOD reviews, and tips and tricks over every single agent with special tips that's going to help you dominate episode 3. So go check it out right now down below. But thank you so much for coming by. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.